Welcome into Pirate Basketball Overtime right here on the Sports Objective. I'm Dave Richmond along with my good buddy and pal Bubba Rosenbaum. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you?
Good. Felt good to be in Minges Coliseum, Williams Arena yesterday, my friend. But, I was thinking about you and your dad, and obviously Kyle would be awesome too. But seeing those, not having the bleachers right now and not having fans, I miss everybody in Pirate Nation. I was joking with the members of the media, fellow ones that were with me yesterday, that it's a daggone shame. You see Pirates winning. We have that on the screen, 63-50 over Radford, 3-0. We'll be talking about the significance of 3-0 for the Pirates as far as college basketball and the program in just a second, Bubba. But it was just really frustrating to not have Pirate fans there. We know why they're not there, so it's not like we're going to get into debate on that. It's just I was joking with the guys in the media, Bubba. I said, isn't this perfect for Joe Dooley? Season number 3. We're finally turning the corner, righting the ship for this program. Our program trajectory, we're going to be definitely postseason with the NIT and the NCAA here sooner than later. And we have no fans for them to see it as far as in the stands.
Yeah, I know we had joked about that in the weeks leading up to the season when everything has been the way it has been with 7% for football, and then when we found out there would be no fans for at least the month of December in basketball, we kind of laughed and said we'll have one of our best starts in history, and it certainly seems to be headed that way. Just 3-0 at this point, but that's the first time we've been 3-0 in 7 years. And if we win tomorrow night against UNC Wilmington at 5 o'clock, that will be just the 4th time in the modern history, that being since the mid-1960s, that the Pirates have gotten off to a 4-0 start.
Give a shout out to our good buddy. Hello to the Powells and the Ponds. They're living it up. There's Pirate Al. I know you put it up there. Pirate Al, how are you, buddy? Go Pirates from the Florida Keys. It looked like they had saw on Facebook earlier. They're at the seafood restaurant, right? And I was telling them to eat those celebratory wins down there and enjoy Pirate basketball. You want to talk about one of the biggest Pirate basketball fans is Alan Powell. We know him better as Pirate Al. So anyway, Pirate Al, we appreciate you, buddy, very much tuning in tonight. I know you guys on a well-deserved vacation, and think we need more Pirate Owls. We need more of the Powells and the Ponds. So it sounds like a law firm, accounting firm, doesn't it? The Powells and the Ponds.
Yeah.
But they're great. Go ahead.
Sorry, I had a little bit of lag there, Dave. No, I was just going to say to the Pals and the Ponds, enjoy your time down in Florida, and hopefully they'll be able to make it through the show. I saw they were enjoying some seafood.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. And man, 4-0. We're going to recap this game. And Bubba, I know we can. There's such a short turnaround as our good buddy Kyle from LaGrange Barber joins us here. Welcome in, Kyle from LaGrange. What's up? Hey, what's up, buddy? You're live here on the Sports Deck. All right, you're live with us here.
Guys? Okay, I'm live.
You sound good. You sound great. You sound great.
Okay. For some reason you sound terrible on my end, so I wasn't sure.
I do?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out on my end, but maybe it's just my connection getting connected. What's going on, world? What's going on, Pirate Nation? Kyle from LaGrange is here.
All right, we're going to talk about the basketball game now, 63-50. The big win yesterday, guys. And Kyle, you're going to love this stat. I sent you the game notes. But one of the great things is the Pirates now have a chance to do something they've only done a few other times. We just mentioned right before you came on. This will be the 4th time if they can beat UNCW tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Only the 4th time in modern history that we've gone 4-0, Kyle. Basketball.
Well, I think we did it a couple years ago under Lebo, and then ended up losing to Duke. I think we were 4-0 and 13.
Yep.
So it'll be nice to do it again. We're 10-point favorites against Wilmington, though you never know. Wilmington's got a decent ball club. They have 2 decent wins over Asheville and over Troy. They hadn't played in a few days, I believe, maybe a week, and
right,
so they've had ample time. They've had ample time to prepare for us. Where we have a 2-day turnaround. So, sometimes they can play in your advantage. Sometimes you can start hot when you've just played, and another team will start cold. Sometimes not.
No question about it. It gives, hey, Bubba, one of the great things about this matchup is it's such a great rivalry. I know we took last year off. In fact, guys, the only person that's ever played UNCW, I don't know if it really matters, but is Jayden Gardner. We had a big time blowout loss to the Seahawks back in 2018. So we got something for them when they come to Williams Arena and tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, let's hope so. Last year, these two clubs did not meet. Joe Dooley's first year, though, when we went down to Trask and lost that one, it was a shootout. It was 95-86. Jayden Gardner had close to 30 points that night, but we were on the short end against CB McGrath and the Seahawks.
Yeah, and this team is definitely, they've got some quality wins, and of course, first year head coach, he is coming in after, of course, his time with Kevin Keats, and of course, I'm talking about the head coach Takeo Siddle. One thing that Coach Dooley talks about, we'll play that in just a little bit.
Where does he come from, Dave? Where did Wilmington hire him from?
NC State.
So he was an assistant for NC State. Okay.
Yes.
But his first time as a head coach?
It is
yeah.
pretty. And he had been with Kevin Keats at UNC Wilmington prior to Kevin Keats leaving for NC State. So that was kind of the obvious hire. Was not surprising to see them go in that direction with all the success they had under Kevin Keats. And, winning, I think it was 25 or 27 games in his final season or so before UNC Wilmington lost him to the Wolfpack.
Who did they have in between the two? He wasn't there long, apparently.
Yeah, that's who I was just referencing. CB McGrath. He played at Kansas for Roy Williams, and he had been a longtime assistant for Roy Williams at the Tar Heels prior to getting the UNC Wilmington job.
Okay, he didn't stay there long before they fired him. But one thing about this game, guys, Dooley coached it 2 years ago. Dooley coached in this game many times as a head coach and an assistant back in the 90s. He knows what the rivalry used to be. It ain't what it was because we're not in the same league anymore. But it is still a game that gets the fans' attention. I think this one, along with Charlotte earlier this year, it may be even more so than Charlotte, gets the fans' interest, particularly with it being in Greenville. Interesting that it's a 5 o'clock tip, even with no fans. Again, I don't know why they're doing that. I'm sure there's.
I know why it's called. There is called ESPN Plus, my friend.
ESPN Plus is dictating our tip-offs.
That's what my understanding.
We tipped off at 5 o'clock the other night, and the game went on ESPN Plus.
Well, that's what I read. But anyway, ESPN
that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But it makes it difficult for people to get home to watch the video. So you're gonna have a lot of people listening on the radio or listening on the TuneIn app on the way home. But it sure would be nice to at least push the tips back to 6:30 or something like that to get people home to be able to watch it. I can't imagine. Maybe it is something to do with ESPN Plus. I do know that the game the other night was 5 o'clock when we were streaming it through ECUPirates.com. But maybe it is something to do with ESPN Plus. I don't know. It's interesting to me that these 5 o'clock tips on a weeknight, fans really, just getting off time. It's hard to watch it.
Hey, Kyle, before we dive into yesterday's game against Radford some more and, talk about some of the stats and so forth, as well as our post-game audio, we'll have the comments from head coach Joe Dooley in addition to junior forward Jayden Gardner. Tomorrow's broadcast team, both of the members have been on this show multiple times. And so Chris Edwards, the play-by-play voice of Duke women's basketball as well as Duke baseball, will be doing the play-by-play. And then you have none other than Jay Sunhalter as the color analyst tomorrow for the UNC Wilmington game.
All right. Jay Sunhalter is showing he knows more than just football. Jay, the basketball expert, Sunhalter, the color analyst for East Carolina basketball. Why can't we get Corey Glore to be the play-by-play guy? Nothing against Chris Edwards, but the voice of the baseball Pirates can call some hoops.
Yeah, he's filled in for Jeff. I know last season and before. Obviously, when there's a conflict with
And
uh, with football. So no
one of the
question.
reasons he may not be doing it, I don't know this to be a fact, but I know for at least the first home game against North Carolina Wesleyan that Corey was producing that night for the Pirate IMG network.
Yeah, and that could be it. Also, is no affiliation with ESPN, where he does have affiliation with IMG.
No question. And both those guys. By the way, Jay actually played 4 sports in high school, Kyle. So he lettered in 4 different sports. Not many people can say that, but I think football became his love. But football was not his first love. I think it was basketball or another sport, right, Bubba? Not to get on the. We'll have to get Jay on to ask him about that later on.
Yeah, football was definitely not his first love. It was, I want to say it was basketball, but I think he actually played 4 sports in high school, and then he did not play football until I think it's his senior year.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Jay will, I'm sure, come on and chime in with that. We'll ask him the next time he's on. We got some comments. If you have a comment to do tonight on Facebook or YouTube, you can do so to join in on the program. Give a shout out. We just did to the Ponds. Diane Pond says, "Hi, everyone from beautiful Florida. Thanks for the shout out." Of course, Diane, you're such a great pirate. We're going to do that. And another one of our colleagues on the Sports Objective, he helped us out a lot last year. Brendan Shapiro says, "Looked pretty good against Radford. Got off to a great start, but we're resilient. Still don't think we're played up to our potential. Going to have to play well to beat UNCW. They have scoring threats. And anytime we play Wilmington, it's a rivalry game. You don't know how that's going to play out as well. I like the fact that we're a favorite. 10-point favorites, maybe a bit generous. This is a better measuring stick to see where we are realistically at. And with the thing,
what I
Wilmington's
wonder is, guys, are we going to play? Wilmington's going to come in here with some emotion because it's always, I guess they will. Their fans aren't there to get them fired up right now like they normally are, but I guess they know what this game means to them historically. So they're going to come in here fired up. It would be my guess, and we need to do the same. We need to be fired up, and hopefully Dooley, and again, I think he will. He'll let these guys know what this game means to Pirate Nation, and Jayden Gardner knows. And guys, going back to Saturday's game against the Highlanders, the freshman guys, I'm terrible with names. Noah
Farrakhan.
I better remember that name. Noah, you really started to see his presence on the court, and I think as the year goes on, he's going to add a legitimate third big time scoring threat, along with Newton and obviously Jayden Gardner as Farrakhan continues to develop. You see his presence. You see in 2 games just little glimpses of what he can be.
Yeah, he's really come on strong, and certainly Coach Dooley likes him. And one of the things, Kyle, he needs to work on at this level with the transition from high school to Division I college basketball is certainly his defensive side of things, right, Bubba? His offensive skills are definitely there, but as far as his defense, that's what they're working on. And he has done a good job of responding to Dooley and what Dooley wants and how to play the game. So he's improving every day in practice. That's why he's getting more minutes.
Yeah, or as Clip Brock of Pirate Radio affectionately dubbed Noah Farrakhan, he called him the tassel.
Well, you know what? If he scores 30 a night, he can have a tassel all he wants to. Anyway, it's a great to see the things turning around for Pirate basketball, and it's a shame that we can't have fans, as I mentioned. But you know what? It's going to make season tickets next year really interesting. Just keep that in mind, folks. If you don't wait to buy season tickets for basketball, same thing with football. I think you're going to see an uprise there. We'll see about how baseball with fans, hopefully in the spring. That's just around the corner in February, so we'll see how that plays out with college baseball as well. Do you guys want to play some audio now?
Sure.
All right. We had a chance for the post game. Obviously, Pirates 63-50 over Radford. And Bubba, who do you want to go to Dooley first, or do you want to go to Jayden?
Yeah, we'll go to head coach Joe Dooley.
They sort of put us on our heels earlier. I thought their aggressive defense sort of had us a little backed up. And I thought they also did a nice job, especially of getting downhill. And after being down 19-10, I thought we responded pretty well. The guys sort of picked up the pace, and I thought we did some good things. I thought our defense the second half was good and did some solid things, but there's obviously a lot of room for improvement in a lot of areas.
Coach, you hold Morton Robinson and Ali under double figures today. You got them at 14 turnovers as well. Pretty good outing for you guys. I know things are not going to go perfect in the first couple of ball games, but you got to feel good about the way things are headed.
We've got to do a better job of not giving up easy baskets at the rim. It's hard. I'm watching games, throughout the country, and it usually doesn't feel like this way. But to me, it seems like this year that the offense is a little bit ahead of the defense. I mean, guys are getting downhill and forcing fouls and getting to the free throw line, which we need to do a better job of getting to the free throw line. But we need to guard the ball better, which is one of the harder things to do. The team we saw today and the team we'll see on Monday do a very good job of trying to get downhill with the bounce and take you off the dribble, and that's something we got to keep working on.
Hey, Coach, I noticed even pregame Radford was just had a lot of energy. Their players were into it and making a lot of noise, and you said that kind of rolled in the first half a little bit, but I imagine you're pleased with the way your guys responded there, and it kind of bounced back from Radford's first start.
I thought our guys it's our guys' energy. I mean, the officials told me a couple times to get our guys to sit down, which, I understand one side of that, you're not supposed to, but the flip side, there's no one in the arena. Let the kids stand up. If Radford's kids want to stand up, stand up. I mean, they're trying to create some energy in an atmosphere in an unprecedented time. Let's let the kids have some fun. But I thought our energy was good. I thought they knocked us back a little bit. They pressured us. They played small, which I assumed they were going to pressure us, but they did. We were a little amped up, to tell you the truth. 8 of those points were for the first 10 of their first 12 were off of mistakes. I thought we were overly aggressive. We got rejected on ball screens, which resulted in 6 points to begin with, one drive and kick. We got lifted and didn't wall up in the post. We gave up another scattering court play, and then all of a sudden that's 10 points. And, maybe a little too empty. And then, the ball didn't go in the basket early, but I thought we responded, got a little momentum going into the half. I think we went on about a 21-2 run and sort of felt a little bit more comfortable. If we didn't give up fouls at the end of the first half and at the end of the second half, I thought we actually did some good things defensively.
Coach, you guys barely get anything from Newton and JJ and still win by 13. Is that encouraging just because they'll score?
Yeah, JJ's been, JJ just is not back. And, he missed some Sunday to Wednesday, and I think it's going to take him. He lost a bunch of weight. It's going to take him a few days. So he was gassed. He's got to get back in some playing shape. We'll get him in here tomorrow and get some shots up, which was good that he got some game minutes. Tristan didn't have one of his better games. Just seemed a little lethargic. But you still want him out there because he can make free throws and he can pass the ball. And he's a good ball. But I think it's good. We got some. I thought that Tyree gave us some good minutes. I thought that Noah gave us some good minutes, and I thought our bench helped us. I thought obviously Potomac gave us some good minutes also.
Let's talk about Noah Farrakhan with 11 points today. I know you got to be proud of him being a freshman. He doesn't seem to be afraid to play at this level.
I think he's extremely talented. Once he starts to totally master everything we're trying to do, which he's getting better at, and he's a freshman, so he's, I think the big thing is there's a trust factor. I'm starting to trust him more and more. The more things he understands and comprehends, the more you can trust him. And he does some things naturally that you can't coach. I mean, we'd all like to take credit for it, but you can't. I mean, he does things that you just can't coach. He knows how to get a shot. He's confident. He's played on a really good high school team, so he's used to playing with good players. And, he did. I thought what I was proudest of wasn't the 11 points. Was actually I thought he was solid defensively. I mean, he was running around chasing guys off of lines and trying to stay in front. I thought that was what really impressed me more.
You hold Radford to 8 points under their average. You get 22 points from your bench, and you shoot 12 for 14 from the stripe tonight. There's a lot of good stats there to work from.
Yeah, we didn't turn it over. I mean, that's at 10 turnovers again. We've been at 10 or under all 3 games. Last year at this time, it was 10 or under at the 10-minute mark for the first half, and we'd have 10 or more turnovers. So the guys are starting to understand the value of the ball. I do think there's obviously a lot of things we got to get better at. And it's early in the season. I think it's different for everybody with no exhibitions, but we're all in the same boat. So just try to adjust and figure it out on the fly.
Coach, can you just talk about this extremely quick turnaround to the UNCW game Monday?
You know, it's going to happen during the season. I sort of like it because you get to see what it's like during conference play. You know, it's going to be an ongoing process. I mean, as you guys know, I mean, we were playing on Monday and Thursday and going down. You know, it's a day by day deal. So obviously they play very fast. The kid Sims is averaging 26 points a game. They got 4 guys averaging double figure points. Okoro is a really good player. Gadsden's a very good player. Boggs is averaging double figure points. We'll bring them in tomorrow. We'll practice tomorrow afternoon. We'll walk through everything. We'll put them up, and then we'll bring them in early on Monday morning, walk through their stuff, and then get ready to tip off on Monday afternoon.
So what's the big thing you got to do against Wilmington to be successful?
Well, there's a number of things. They're going to put their head down and drive it. Obviously they've got 4 guys averaging double figure points, very aggressive offensively. My guess is, they do like to play fast. So you're going to have to find Sims. He's been on a roll. Watching against Troy and Western, against Asheville, he's on about as good an offensive roll as I've seen in a while. So we're going to have to figure out how to guard him and not let those other guys go crazy also.
Coach, does your depth, especially guard, speak to the guys? Your starting lineup was different from the 5 you ended with Jackson out there and Noah. Obviously, does that just speak to the options you maybe have, different situations at guard, and how that can help you?
A little bit of everything. Trey sort of cramped up a little bit there, and so we took him out. He needed a sub, so we put Noah back in. I thought Pig played really well. Like we talked about, it wasn't one of Tristan's better games. So JJ to me is just trying to ease his way back in after almost a week off. So once we got going a little bit, because I thought Brandon was very good after a shaky start. I thought Brandon Suggs was very good after a shaky start, and those other guys got to play. And I think we had a pretty good sample size on what Brandon can do. So it was time to see, maybe a little bit more of what Noah could do and some of these other guys. And it's been a hard deal for Charles because a lot of these people have been playing smaller. When we play small ball, and when they went with the 2, when they went with 13 and 14, those guys are really small forward, power forward type guys. Those are hard for Charles to guard. So I like it when there's people start playing some big guys, so we can get him in there also.
You guys good? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks to Coach Joe Dooley, as we have him. Man, what a great game. Again, Pirates, big victors, 63-53. First time since 2013 that we had that magical run there with a CIT championship. Last time we've gone 3-0. So it'll be interesting to see how the Pirates do, and very excited. By the way, Kyle, I don't know if we had a chance to talk to you obviously beforehand, but Bubba, there's a big stat for Jayden Gardner, right?
Absolutely. Tomorrow night, Jayden with 20 points would reach 1,200 for his Pirate career, becoming just the 10th ECU player to do so.
Wow.
And here's a stat for you. He'll be the fastest one ever to reach 1,200 points, Kyle. In fact, the last guy to do it holds a record is Lester Lyons with 74 games, and Jayden can do it at above 66 games?
I think it was 65.
Yeah, I mean, will they be the 65th game, or were they saying that it'll be the 66 tomorrow? That's what I was trying to figure out. But anyway, 65th game, we'll go with that, and 9 games faster than Lester Lyons. That tells you how impressive. Lester Lyons is in the ECU Hall of Fame. So, and he's the reason why we went to the dance in '93.
Absolutely. Lester was a tremendous player from right there in Eastern North Carolina, Farmville Central, right?
I think so.
Green Central? I think it's maybe Bertie. But
I'm sorry, Bertie. It is Bertie. Blue Edwards is Green Central.
Bertie. But yeah, Lester's a tremendous player. A lot of excellent memories of him from my childhood. And you were correct, Jayden Gardner. It will be game 66 tomorrow.
And well, I'll tell you what, he's a very special player, and if he keeps doing what he's doing, guys, you got one thing I was going to ask you. Not that it really matters, but I want to throw this out to you. Do you think there's a chance he could get 2,000?
How much time's he got
And
left? Is he a junior or senior this year?
he's a junior, but the reason I asked that is he's got an extra year if he used it. He'll be
Yeah, I think he could.
He can get he can get 2,000 without playing that additional year.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. He's got the rest of this year and next year left. So yeah, I think he probably will get to 2,000.
He's got 400 points.
The only way I could see him not getting to 2,000 is heaven forbid an injury, or if we had a ton of games this year canceled because of COVID, and then he missed 10 or 15. I mean, something absurd this year, and then he played next year, but then did not play that additional year where he would have it available.
No question about it. I know that that's going to be a lot of fun to watch him, and not only him, but what's great about Joe Dooley is they're building it where there's more than just one special player. I mean, you look at the roster, you've got other potential guys that are really building this. And one thing I was going to say before we go to Jayden Gardner.
Way, I want to ask you guys, both of y'all, about Jayden. When that's something we haven't really had in a while. When you have a star player that gets national attention like Gardner does here, how much do you guys think that helps with recruiting? Being, you can point now to East Carolina and go, you can get national attention if you play at ECU.
I think that's big, and also the fact, Kyle, that one of the things I always think about is the fact that we're on ESPN, and everybody says ESPN Plus, but man, the program has come so far. You can tell a kid you're playing in a big boy league in the American, where you're going to have a chance to start and to play a lot of minutes, and you're going to be on ESPN. Are you kidding me?
It'll be interesting to see that you mentioned that the new deal puts a lot more games on ESPN Plus, where in the past they've all been on some sort of ESPN TV, with some being on ESPN3. But once we get into conference play, they've all been on TV. Whereas now, even some conference games are going to be on ESPN Plus. It'll be interesting to see how many actual TV games we have this year. I'm anxious to see that. I know our first couple of conference games. I believe our first couple. I know the SMU game is on ESPN Plus, and I believe Tulane is also. So it'll be interesting to see how many we have on actual TV.
Well, another thing is just people just buy a Roku or a Fire Stick. If you want to get it on your big screen, and sometimes you can put it on your or a Google Chromecast. You can get it on the big screen. It's just a different way of consuming, but certainly having the games on has been a huge deal for East Carolina basketball. Definitely a shot in the arm.
Yeah, and my thing about it being on ESPN Plus versus a traditional ESPN platform like ESPN2, for example, is just the casual fan that's just a basketball fan in general, not an East Carolina fan, flipping by and seeing it. You do have some people that are just going to seek games out, on ESPN Plus, that are just college basketball diehards that want to watch everything. But, anytime you're not on traditional TV, it does hurt you with being viewed by the casual fan. But I think the American kind of had to do what they had to do to get more money out of the TV contract.
Oh, no doubt about it. And Bubba, with I know you got some things to chime in, so I'll pitch it to you.
Yeah, you heard Coach Dooley's comments just a few minutes ago. He referenced there midway through the first half, the defensive intensity really picked up, and we went from down 19-10 to up 29-21, I think it was, and I think it was a 19-2 run. Yeah, 19-2 run for the Pirates over about a 6.5 minute stretch, and then we took a 4-point lead into halftime. But then coming out, the defensive intensity picked right back up where it was in those final 10 minutes or so, and we built a double-digit lead, and I think it got up to about 15 or 16 before winning by 13, as you see there on the screen.
Yeah, and another thing they have, thanks to Jody Jones, our game notes. The Pirates are a second half team. We've outscored the first three opponents by an average of 11 points per game in the second half. So definitely a second half team so far. And another thing, guys, I wanted to mention too, Bubba, is you're the stats guy, not me. is the turnovers, man, have really, really improved. What was it, 9 or 10 turnovers? I know we can talk about stats, but that was one thing that has Coach Dooley's talked about. I know that we've talked about is the turnovers has been something that they've drastically about cut. I would say off the top of my head, have they cut them in half, Bubba? I mean, one time it was about 17 or more last year, it seems like, but now they down to about 9 or 10.
Yeah, the first 3 games yesterday it was 10, and prior to that it had been either 10 or 9 in the first couple games. So we're right there, averaging about 10 per game thus far, which is excellent. We really haven't faced a ton of pressure though, so it will be interesting tomorrow night because UNC Wilmington, that's how they like to play. They like to play fast. And I think is hashtag run, defend, win or something like that. That's the way Kevin Keats ball clubs like to play. And obviously Takeo Siddle is a Kevin Keats disciple from his time at UNC Wilmington as well as NC State. So I'm going to be interested to see how this one goes tomorrow night with even more pressure. But there you take a look on the screen, some of the stats from yesterday's ball game. And the Pirates shot 42% from the field, 23 out of 55. Didn't shoot it particularly well from 3, just 5 out of 18. And did shoot it much better at the line, 12 out of 14 in the first couple games, especially that game against North Carolina Wesleyan. I know we had shot, low 60s or so. So that was great to see. And you already referenced how well we did taking care of the basketball. Some of the individual stats, we talked about Jayden Gardner having another solid game. He's averaging about 21 points per game thus far, had 20 and 8 yesterday in 34 minutes. And Noah Farrakhan was the other Pirate in double figures with those 11 points in 18 minutes. Tremont Robinson-White, he knocked down those 2 quick threes, finished with 8. And then Brandon Suggs, even though he only played 19 minutes, and Coach Dooley, as you heard, referenced that, saying that he just wanted to get some other guys like Noah Farrakhan some time and see what they could do. But Brandon Suggs was very efficient when he was in there with those 7 points and 5 rebounds. And Luigi DeBow, he did have 4 points in his 27 minutes. But his big thing was pulling down 8 rebounds, and he had at least 1 or 2 tap outs where he didn't get the rebound, but then he tapped it out. And maybe it was Tyree Jackson or Brandon Suggs, and then they got a bucket where he extended possessions, and that was really big. And then as you see there, you had those 3 guys for the Highlanders that had 9 points apiece, as Radford did not have a player in double figures.
That's one of the stats that stood out for me that to talk about this team is, guys, we didn't even play very well and defensively at times, but yet there was nobody that scored over 9 points. That's amazing. And 3 guys at 9. I mean, it's right at double figures, but still in basketball being one of the big things you look at is double figure scoring. And I thought for sure they would have a couple guys until the stats sheet towards the end there. We were all talking about that. A big day for the Pirates, obviously. And Bubba, I know, are you ready for Jayden?
I am. Sorry, I was sending the link to Chris Edwards.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. All right. Well, let's go now to the comments for the post game. Pirates get the big victory, 63-50. Let's go now to Junior. So here's Jayden Gardner.
Jayden, you guys started slow, but were able to finish the first half strong. Just talk about how important that was.
Just important. Just keep trusting the things I do, day in and day out in the court, off the court. Just keep playing my game. Shots are gonna fall. You're gonna have nights like that when you don't hit shots early. But I was able to finish strong and help my team, and we were resilient tonight.
Jayden, this seemed to be a different feel from the Wesleyan game, obviously, the other day, just on the court and some of the energy. Did you enjoy this one? Did it, I don't know, feel a little different, more intense?
Yeah, it was more upbeat, more intense. Some fans came. My dad was able to come today. It was more kind of a little bit more lively. We'd like to get some more fans in here, but it was nice to know, have reinsurance that some of people's families came to the game. But yeah, they was ready to go, and they had a little more spirit to them than the previous teams we played.
Jayden, another good night for you. Talk about what you feel like this team is improving most on, and what you got to get better at.
I think we're improving most on just like so far. Our communication has been really good, and our offense has been really good. We're learning on defense. We had a really good second half on defense. We're able to get a lot of stops. But we're still improving. We still got a lot of work to do, but that's good. It's good that we're improving and winning at the same time. So it's a long season, and we're going to keep improving from game to game.
Jayden, with a 3-0 start, how do you feel about going ahead? You've got a big game on Monday, UNCW, and a couple more non-conference games before you play SMU on the 16th.
I've never been 3-0 here, so I'm ecstatic. First time ever happening, so I just want to keep it going. Get used to this feeling and keep winning. And, yeah, we got a quick turnaround Monday. We're going to have to get prepared for Scout tomorrow and Sunday. Dang. Wow. Yeah, so get prepared for Scout on Sunday and then play again on Monday. Wow, I did not. We had 2 days. So, yeah, quick turnaround, kind of like the NBA. So, yeah, we have some guys tired, but we just got to push through and get ready to hoop on Monday. Best I can put it.
Jayden, it seems like Noah's really brought a spark the last few games. I know he's still learning a lot as a freshman, but can you just talk about the spark he's brought?
Yeah, Noah has all the talent in the world. He can basically do anything you ask him to do on the court. It's just about being familiarized with the offense, knowing the plays, and just gaining coach's trust. And I think by day, he keeps working in practice. He keeps getting that trust. As we see in the minutes keep going up for him, and the sky's the limit for him. He's a really talented player, and I like playing this out.
All right, that's of course Jayden Gardner there talking about in the game there. Noah Farrakhan, again, freshman, coming highly recruited, gets a chance to get some more minutes. 11 points. Kyle, it's great to see a kid like that. He can come in. You're talking about recruiting a kid like that that's so good, so talented. They don't have to sit on the bench for a year or two. They can come in now if they come to East Carolina and get a lot of minutes.
Yeah, Noah's obviously going to get better as the season goes, and really showed something the other night against Radford. What I took away from that interview with Jayden is the realization he had on Saturday night. He's like, "Wait, tomorrow's Sunday. We play Monday." So that was great. But he'll be ready to go and have his teammates ready to go to play the Sea Squawks.
And Johnny Gardner was chiming in with what we were discussing earlier, guys, as far as the impact of having a guy like Jayden Gardner, who is so proven and has become a national commodity in a way. Just when you have guys that follow the game closely, tweeting about him and just the numbers he puts up night in, night out. Johnny said that R.J. Felton would be a kid or an example of a kid you can point to as far as what Jayden Gardner has accomplished to him becoming a Pirate. And I know I saw Felton, I think it was, reference Noah Farrakhan. So Noah Farrakhan, even though he's played in just 2 games thus far as a Pirate, you can see just the impact that getting a high-profile recruit like him from up in New Jersey and the impact that has, even with kids down here in the Southeast.
Yeah, I think, guys, the talent, if Dooley keeps landing guys like this and just building layer on top of layer of what we already have, I mean, I really think the standards are so low for East Carolina basketball. Unless I'm badly mistaken, I think we're going to have a decent season this year. And if Dooley just keeps building on top of that layer after layer, he could be here a while. He could probably retire here.
No question. And that Bubba, you guys know, happy wife, happy life. His wife Tanya and his son Max. Of course, his parents they stayed in Greenville. They moved down when he first became head coach. and they love Greenville. So his whole family or immediate family is right there in Greenville. It would have to take, I would say, no speculation, but it would have to take a special job for him to leave Greenville, and especially after success.
Hey, if that, you know what, if that's the situation we end up in, where somebody's trying to hire him away, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Usually we're having to come up with the next coach and the next coach and the next coach. So it's great to get some stability with the program, and you can see the chemistry. The guys have been playing together now for a year, and you can tell they're more comfortable with each other. Definitely, they trust each other on the court more. I noticed that yesterday. The spacing, I thought, was a lot better than we've had in the past, and just tighten up the defense. And the good thing is, guys, it's only game number 3 out of 27, and they're already looking a lot better, right, Bubba?
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things that Jayden just referenced, how you can it's awesome to be able to get victories and then still know you have so much that you can improve on. Where in recent years, you've been coming up short with 5 and 6 point losses in the non-conference schedule, like we suffered last year against the likes of Navy and App State. But this year we're winning these games by double figures at times, like yesterday, and I'm still thinking how much better we can play because we didn't even shoot the ball well from 3. And then you have a guy like Tristan Newton, who typically averages in double figures, or scores in double figures, I should say. And what he finished with 2. And then J.J. Miles was basically a non-factor because of coming off of his illness and not having practice for 4 or 5 days. So having 2 guys like that are typically going to score in double figures give you nothing, and still winning by 13 over yes, they're 0-4 now, but Radford's not a bad basketball team. I think that will improve itself over the course of the season. We shall see. But they were competitive with Virginia Tech for the majority of that game, and Virginia Tech has beaten number 3 Villanova already this season.
Yeah, no doubt. And they're going to be good. East Carolina is going to be even better, especially the test is going to be with Bubba. I know there was a buzzer beater for SMU over Dayton yesterday afternoon. I think they were playing about the same time for the Dayton Flyers, which they have an outstanding program with Dayton. I believe it's SMU 4-0 now, off the top of my head.
They are. SMU's 4-0. Like you said, that 66-64 win over Dayton, that's one that Kyle and I had talked about with Rich Phillips here about a week and a half ago now, prior to the East Carolina game against the Mustangs in football. But we talked about what a huge opportunity that was, and they capitalized with that win at UD Arena. You also, on Friday, you had Tulsa beat UT Arlington, I think it was 79-64. Memphis took down Central Arkansas 85-68. And then yesterday, in addition to the Pirates and Mustangs winning, you had number 10 Houston taking down South Carolina 77-67. So 2 big wins in the non-conference for Kelvin Sampson and the Cougars. They had also beat number 14 Texas Tech by 11. And then today was a rough day for the American, as you had all 3 teams in action losing. Wichita State fell to Missouri 72-62. Cincinnati lost its crosstown battle to Xavier 77-69. And then number 25 Michigan beat UCF 80-58.
Yeah, and all three quality opponents they lost to. So how it goes sometimes. But
yeah, and guys, Wichita State is definitely going to be having a tough year, tough season when you're coach.
Yeah, I don't even know the situation that happened there. Can one of you guys fill me in on that? Did he say something he shouldn't, or what?
It was
it was a situation of player abuse, right, Bubba?
Yep. And then you had players from his time at Winthrop, which is obviously over a decade ago, or right at a decade ago now, chiming in saying that similar things occurred during his time in Rock Hill. So,
what kind of abuse?
Verbal and physical, right?
Yeah, I think
You know, that kind of
it was more
style.
verbal than physical, but it was both from what I recall. And then when they made one of the assistants the interim coach for this season.
So what kind of verbal abuse? I mean, do we know to what degree? I mean, I need to look up the story.
Yeah, I didn't see any
That
specific examples.
No, and the issue is what coaches have to understand is my generation
Yeah,
back.
today's generation's a bunch of pussies. That's what they got to realize.
Wow. So it's okay for verbal and physical abuse?
Yeah, you
Is
wuss.
that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'll come slap you around.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Great for the sense. There's nothing like live stream.
No. Let me be serious. Let me be serious. There is lines you can't cross. Obviously, there is lines you can't cross. But some people need to get a thicker skin. If there's anybody who's put up with verbal abuse, it's this 400-pound legally blind sumbitch right here. And what it's done is made me not take crap off people. It's made me learn to be the aggressor when need be. So, but yes, there are lines you don't cross. There are certain things you never say to certain people. And you got to have respect for people. But some people need to get a thicker skin and learn from it and get stronger and learn that, some people are hard on you because they want to see you succeed.
Right. Well, also is the legendary late great rest in peace Dean Smith. He always asked his players when they were freshmen, back when they stayed all 4 years. Well, even not, but he would always ask them how they wanted to be coached. Some players love it when you challenge them. I think that's what you're saying, Kyle. And there's some players that they would rather just for you to champion them. And so sometimes he would, push them hard that way. But that's the one thing is that every coach has a different style. But I would definitely think that today, that's the thing is you got to know how to relate to your players. That's how you can say
And like I
generic.
said, there are certain things you never say, and I don't know, what lines he crossed. If he was saying racial things, or if he was talking about people's background, maybe kids from bad financial situations, talking about there are certain things you don't say. So when I say some of these kids need to toughen up, what was said, because there's some things you should never said, and it should have never been tolerated. You take somebody like Bobby Knight, he would never survive in today's culture.
That's absolutely right. And guys, one of the things that was interesting about Bobby Knight, if you go back and look, he was winning national championships. He was doing really well in the tournament. The last Final Four he had was 92. Duke, of course, Coach K beat them in 92. But if you notice after that 92, the last Final Four with Coach Bobby Knight, the 90s is when people started to, notice that, okay, you know what? We're not winning anymore here. And they just noticed how they didn't put, after he stopped winning, that stuff had been going on for years, since the 70s with him. But it was after the fact he stopped winning, that's when they really started to say, we're not going to put up with this.
Yeah, and he had some success at Texas Tech after that, but not to the level he had, obviously, at Indiana prior to. But and that could have been that, and the reason he might have stopped having the success at the level he had at Indiana in the '90s was because society had started changing at that point from how it was in the '80s even. So I mean, the kids might not have been taking that kind of coaching as well. But it is what it is. I need to investigate the situation with Wichita State more myself and see what all was said. But certainly had a lot of success on the court.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason I brought up when you Bubba referenced the game, the reason I brought it up was the fact that that's a team that we brought into the league to strengthen the league, but it looks like that they're going to. Who knows what the season is? Too early to speculate, but you would think that with the interim coach, maybe that'll spark them. Who knows? Maybe they'll play better. But you have to think conventional wisdom. Even though it's 2020, you would think that they're not going to have the season they would under Greg Marshall.
You wouldn't think. What is their record right now, guys? Neither one of y'all know what kind of start they've got off to?
I don't know it off the top of my head. It's not. Is it 1-2, Bubba? Have they won one? I'd have to look at it. I shouldn't even say because I'm not sure on their actual record right now, um, but I don't think it's 3-0 or 4-0 for sure. They obviously lost today, but I'll have to look on. I'll double check that what we have. Are you ready, Bubba?
Yep.
All right. With us right now is he's Johnny on the spot. Even though his name is Chris Edwards, the play-by-play voice for the women's basketball team at Duke, and also the voice of the baseball team. Chris, how are you, man? Thank you so much. Very, very short notice. We looked at the game notes from Jody Jones and realized I didn't know you were calling the game. And our another good friend, Jay Sunhalter. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we're really excited to be in Greenville tomorrow night. Big game for the Pirates against UNCW. Kind of a litmus test game, I think, early in the season for both of these teams. So I think we're going to learn a lot about Coach Dooley's team. Obviously, for UNCW, a new system, a regime change there. Coach Siddle coming in his first season. So I'm really excited about the game. I think there's a lot of intriguing stories, and it's just always good to be back in Greenville for sure.
Chris, how much of the Pirates have you had a chance to watch getting ready for this game?
Yeah, I've watched a couple of games, still trying to cram some stuff in. I mean, having a Monday game is always tough, especially coming off a bunch of games that I had last week and trying to work ahead for this week too. Thankfully, guys, I think last time we talked, we were all in the middle of the COVID pandemic, which we're still in, and it was tough, and we were all trying to figure out and navigate our way through it. So now fortunate to have a bunch of games to be able to do and watch. So yeah, I've watched a couple of ECU games. I watched their game against Radford yesterday. Really impressed with some of the athleticism. Jayden Gardner, man, what a special kid. He can go jump out of the gym. He can fly around. Really love what Coach Dooley's done and the style of system that they play. I think ECU is a team that's poised to be better than that preseason pick in the conference. I felt like that was a little low for ECU. I know the American is a great basketball conference, but really feel like they're going to be a team that can compete in the mid-level of the conference and might surprise some people this year.
Yeah, I think we're as talented as I've seen us.
Yeah, we had analysts for. Go ahead, Kyle. I had a little bit of a lag. Sorry.
Okay, I was saying I think we're as talented as I've seen East Carolina since the Bill Harrion days in the early 2000s. I think Dooley's doing a good job of layering depth and talent and bringing in, guys to complement Jayden Gardner like Noah Farrakhan. And from a depth standpoint, how would you compare East Carolina to the rest of the American or to some of the ACC schools you see?
Yeah, I think they've got some guys for sure. I think depth is there for ECU. And obviously Coach Dooley knows how to win at ECU. I mean, you guys know this better than anybody else, but this is his second stint at ECU, and look at what he did the first time he was here. Won 57 games. I mean, you could argue that was one of the best stretches of ECU basketball in recent memory when Coach Dooley was here. So, yeah, it's going to take a couple of years, but, he's been here since, 2018? It takes a couple of years to get that depth, to build your system. And I think maybe if you talk to him, and we haven't yet, we'll talk to Coach Dooley before the game tomorrow, before shoot-around. But I think that he probably likes where the depth is at of this team. The one thing I think for ECU that's going to be key that really hurt the Pirates last year was injuries. I mean, they had 7 guys that missed a bunch of time last year. Hard to build consistency and build your depth and your combinations. I mean, you can't do a whole lot when you've got 6 or 7 guys injured at a time. I mean, that's tough. So if they can stay healthy, I think that's the biggest key for ECU this year. That and finding another scoring threat. Teams are going to start keying in on Gardner. I think everyone realizes that. So you got to find that second and third option. And for me, that's the biggest question mark, I think, for ECU is who's going to step up and be that second or third scoring option that if Jalen's having an off night, who can be the next guy to step up and take the reins?
No question with Bubba. I know with the stats that we're starting to see, Chris, we're starting to see guys that are stepping up. I think maybe more of a consistent basis last year. One of the things that will be a concern is certainly 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
But we're starting to get more 3-point guys that can shoot the rock from downtown. And Bubba, I know we only had 2 guys in double figures yesterday with Noah Farrakhan, the freshman, outstanding from Jersey, and then with Jayden. But you had TRW, Tremont Robinson White. You're talking about injuries. He's a prime example of a kid that really just couldn't get his legs. He was only about 80% towards the end of the season. Coach Dooley said. Never forget that in February. So you start to see kids coming off. We had 11 new players on the roster last year. Those guys, the chemistry starting to really build.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the important things too that we have to remember is a lot of these kids weren't together for so long. Remember the season got cut short in March because of the pandemic, and then these kids dispersed and went home and went wherever they went. And what was the situation like at home for a lot of these kids? Did they have a hoop? Did they have a gym? Did they have somewhere where they can go out and practice and try to get better? Some teams are going to be further along in their development because they might be older or their kids might have had access to more resources. So I think those are going to be the big things when you start to look at these programs and the depth is going to be how much were they able to work individually before they got back to campus, whether that was in July or August or whenever the specific university let them back in. But, the one thing you were talking about, Dave, was the three-point shooting for ECU. The one thing that's impressed me was how good ECU's been defensively this year, not only taking care of the basketball in their end, but also forcing turnovers. I think they're one of the better field goal percentage defensive teams so far in the American. If they can keep that up, I mean, you guys know as good as I do that defense wins championships, and a chance for ECU to be really good on that end of the floor.
What do you make of Wilmington, Chris? I hadn't had a chance to watch them play yet. I know they play kind of up tempo, get the ball up and down the court. Had a couple of nice wins over Asheville and Troy. I don't think they've played in about a week, so they ought to be fresh.
Yeah, they're really fresh. And they got a really good player, too, in Jayden Sims. That guy can fill it up. I think he's averaging over 20 points a game, 26 points per game. He's the CAA player of the week. They've been bit by the injury bug, I think, like a lot of kids have, a lot of teams have. They're going to be athletic. It's interesting. Was talking with Coach Siddle today for the game tomorrow. He's a Kevin Keats disciple. He was actually the interim coach at UNCW when Coach Keats took over the NC State program a few years ago. A young guy, 34, first head coaching job. And I was asking him, I said, hey, obviously you've been with Coach Keats for a while, was with Coach Keats at Hargrove Military Academy and then at Wilmington for a while. He said, yeah, he said, I've known Coach Keats since I was 18. So if you've ever watched NC State play, they're going to run some of the same, I think, concepts that NC State likes to run in terms of ball pressure and wanting to play up tempo. There's going to be some different wrinkles that UNCW will throw at ECU. But I think the one kid to watch is the Sims kid because he's going to be pretty good. So it could be a pretty fun matchup. If we get Gardner against Sims tomorrow night, we might get a 95-92 kind of game, and I am okay with that.
Yeah, well, let's play some defense.
I don't know. Let's fill it up. Let's put all the points in there tomorrow night. Give me all of it.
How about 95-72?
Okay, that's fair. Just give me some points.
Now, Jayden Sims, though, averaging 27 and 7, and he's shooting 67% from three, which is just crazy.
Yeah, but I think some of those numbers, you can drive yourself crazy looking at numbers right now, right? I mean, we're 3 games into the season, 4 games into the season for some team. Yeah, he's shooting 66% or whatever it is. Okay, so is he like 2 for 3 from three-point range? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's talk about those numbers when we get, 5 or 6, 7, 8 games into the season. I'm not a big numbers guy right now. That's just me. I don't start looking at basketball stats until you've played 4 or 5 games. I think then you get a better idea of who you are as a basketball team. Because look, some teams can go out and schedule a bunch of cupcake games. Not to say either one of these teams have, because they haven't. But you could go out and score 95 or 100 points in 3 straight games, and you look like world beaters. And then all of a sudden, you play somebody else who's actually pretty good, and you lose by 30, and you're like, oh, well, what's going on here?
I remember back in the day, Chris, speaking of the ACC, Clemson used to be they would schedule, I'm exaggerating, but like church league games, and they'd be like 16-0, and then they go in ACC and get crushed. So you're right. You can pad your schedule early on, but it doesn't help you for conference play.
It doesn't. And so I think it's that interesting dichotomy, right? Like if you're a new head coach or you have a young team, maybe you want to have some games that are winnable at the front end of your schedule to give your kids some confidence. And then you never know if you're an older team, what do you do then? I mean, I had the ECU women against Georgia on ESPN Plus earlier last week. And Georgia, there's an older basketball team on the women's side. They were playing 3 straight games on the road at Mercer, at Georgia Tech, at ECU, some hostile places to play. ECU is a good ball club on the women's side. So, yeah, it's just interesting how some coaches want to schedule. You look at what ECU did on the women's side, scheduling 3 straight games against Power 5 teams. They played Virginia, played Georgia, played Duke. So it's interesting to see these teams and how they schedule, especially this year, with so few non-conference games, because a lot of these conferences like the American are playing 20-game conference schedules. So you don't have a lot of time to learn about your basketball team. And I think that's been interesting too, to see which coaches schedule which way in the 3 or 4 non-conference games they have.
Chris, have you worked with Jay Sunhalter in the past?
Yeah, Jay and I go way back. I've known Jay for probably 7 or 8 years now. We've done a lot of high school football stuff together. We did the Time Warner football package that was on Thursday nights. Gosh, I guess that was 4 or 5 years ago now.
I remember that.
Yeah, so we would go statewide and do the football stuff. We've done some Catawba football, Catawba basketball. Jay's one of my best friends in broadcasting, best friends in the whole world. So it's fun when you get to do what you love at a great place like ECU, but it's even more fun when you get to work with somebody that you respect and that you love like Jay. And I'm looking forward to being with him tomorrow. And I think we've got some more games coming up on the horizon too, assuming that we can keep playing basketball. Keep your fingers crossed. Everyone keeps tested negative and we can keep playing. But I'm looking forward to working with Jay and listening to his antics on TV tomorrow night, because you guys know Jay as much as I do, and Jay is all over the place.
Yeah, definitely need to keep him healthy where he doesn't break anything.
Man, so I got to pick this fool up tomorrow, right? So he's crippled, he's hobbling around, and I'm like, Jay, what are you doing? He's like, can you come pick me up? So I'm picking Jay up, and we're carpooling to Greenville tomorrow. So I'm sure the stories in the car to and from Greenville will be a lot more fun than what is said on the TV tomorrow night.
Chris, what do you make of these? What do you make of these empty arenas? How weird is it calling games in empty arenas?
Odd, yeah, really odd, guys. I mean, it's taken some getting used to. I'm thankful that we're piping in some crowd noise everywhere I've been, because I don't want to sit there and listen to and have people listen to what I'm saying. Because you don't know how people are going to take things. Not that you mean it a certain way or don't mean it a certain way. Would never purposely talk bad about somebody, right? But you just don't know how people are going to react to certain things, especially as the folks in the striped shirt tend to have rabbit ears sometimes, and they may or may not miss a call. So it's been tough. It's been weird for me. Because the crowd noise is there and it's piped in and it kind of sounds somewhat normal. I've honestly forgotten a few times that we're in an empty gym or empty arena. And thankfully, it's a couple hours of normalcy. I can sit there and call a game, and it just feels like something that I've done for the last 7 or 8 years. But it's been weird. I think ECU has done a really nice job with Minges. When I was there the other day, some of the banners they have, it makes it feel like it's a little bit fuller, like there's things going on. I think having the PA announcer, having all the other stuff makes it feel real and makes it feel normal for the kids too, because I haven't talked to a lot of the players, but I would imagine that because it's the crowd noise that's piped in and you're playing the game, and you probably drowned everything else out and you're just out there playing anyway.
Yeah, Minges looks good. I was very pleased. It looks better than a lot of other arenas I've seen on ESPN Plus watching, and they did a good job of dressing it up so it's not as noticeable that there's no people in the stands.
Yeah, credit everybody at ECU too for doing such a bang up job there. I talked to John Gilbert for the halftime show for the women's game I did the other day, and was talking about how great Minges looked off the air, and he really praised everybody and facilities and all those guys that did just such a good job of putting the banners up there, making it feel like a more of an intimate environment, which it is. Obviously missing the Maniacs this year, but hopefully they're back again next year.
Hey, Chris, I know we're talking basketball, but as far as baseball, do you think I know you're Nostradamus, you have your crystal ball. Do you think we're going to start on time?
I think we'll know for sure this week. My guess is it'll be a little later than what we are accustomed to, which is not a bad thing. If we start around the 1st of March, I think that would be good for all parties involved. I don't know how much overlap the NCAA is going to want to have with basketball and baseball. I do think we're going to play baseball. I think we could end up seeing something similar to what basketball has done, with very few non-conference games and then maybe a conference-only slate, or you play four conference games on the weekends. I've heard a lot of different things. I think by the 1st of March, though, we're playing baseball, because let's be honest with it, guys. If we played football, we have plowed through football despite some of the cancellations and postponements, because it's a cash cow. Every school needs the money, right? Well, you can make a case that you need the NCAA tournament money more than you need the football money. Sure, I think everyone agrees with that. And you can't have no NCAA tournament in basketball 2 years in a row. So if we're going to have football and we're going to have basketball, we're going to have baseball. There's no way the NCAA is not going to plow through football, plow through basketball, and then just completely demolish the spring sport. So we're going to have baseball. It's just, will we start on time? I think will be 2 or 3 weeks delayed. I don't know that. This is just me kind of speaking off the cuff and talking to some people that I know. They kind of think the same thing.
I say let's start it at the end of March. The vaccines are getting out there.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the people, hopefully, that's going to get one will have it by the spring. Let's start at the end of March. Let's play a maybe 10 to 12 non-conference games. Then play the conference schedule, and let's play the World Series around the end of July and the 1st of August, and then bam, it's football season.
Yeah, I'm good with that. The plan Michigan came out with before the pandemic hit, where we start baseball in late March, April, something like that. We play through the summer. Give me that. Give me a regional at Clark LeClaire on July 4th weekend.
Oh,
yes,
hell yeah.
Give me
and
that.
you could have people there again, hopefully by 4th of July.
The jungle will be packed and the libations will be flowing.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll hear the jungle calls from Gary Rosenbaum, Bubba's dad. You'll hear that, right, Bubba? I guess we lost Bubba for a second there, but
no,
there's Bubba.
You see, I have myself muted, and you always pitch it to me when I'm on another tab.
Sorry.
And I can't unmute myself, and then I look like a fool.
I wasn't trying to make you look like a fool. Sorry, but anyway, it'll be great to have some sense of normalcy, my friend, and certainly will. And with baseball, I think that we do a little bit better than breaking even as far as what typical for ECU would be what some would see as in other places a non-revenue sport. For us, we do better than break even, so that's a great thing. And I think with Cliff Godwin, he's definitely building the program to which we'll be doing more than breaking even, or even
absolutely, yeah, for sure. I think it's just a matter of time for ECU to get over that hump and get to Omaha for sure.
Man, that would be fantastic for sure. Where do you see ECU? Do you see ECU? You said mid-level. Do you think they have a shot at making maybe a bubble team for the NIT?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and who knows, guys? I mean, you only have to play 13 games to be postseason eligible this year. I mean, so who's to say that you don't play 13 or 14 games and you go, I don't know what, like 8-3 or something, 9-2, and boom, you're in the tournament. Or I guess 9-2 is 11, but you get what I'm getting after. Math is hard and it's late.
You didn't go to Duke though, right?
No, I went to Garner. So yeah, if you get what I'm saying, you could play 13 games, and you never know, you could sneak in somewhere. I
wonder beyond the NCAA tournament, will there be an NIT? Will there be a CBI? Will there be a CIT?
My gut is you probably won't see like a CBI or a CIT. I think the NIT, you'll probably see it because you could go to a bubble site with an NIT. I mean, you probably can't go to New York and Madison Square Garden to play everything, but you could go somewhere else and bubble people together, bubble all, a 32-team bracket in the NIT. You could bubble.
Let's do it at Disney. Let's do it at Disney.
Yeah, do that.
Yep.
I mean, hey, go to Asheville. We saw the Maui do it. You know,
that's right.
Go to Asheville and Charlotte.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what the NBA did at Disney, so we know it can work.
Mm-hmm. So I guess either being in the NIT, I think there's obviously an NCAA tournament. Beyond that, probably not much more postseason basketball than that this year, though. And then you wonder too, okay, if we don't have a CIT or a CBI, are those tournaments just going to go away? Because I'm thinking that probably not good to try to bring those back maybe next year, because then you've lost your momentum for it.
At one time, not so much with the CIT. At one time, there was some money behind the CBI.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't think of his name. The guy that owns the Mavericks.
Mark Cuban?
Yeah, he was involved in the CBI at the beginning. I don't know that he still is.
Interesting. I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, if someone throws money behind it, of course they're going to have it. But I just can't see it being a thing this year.
And Chris, thank you so much for bringing that up regarding the 13-game minimum. I had not heard that or read that anywhere, because obviously college football, they just threw the requirements out this year in terms of going to a bowl, having to have 6 wins.
Yeah, Bubba, and basketball is not my sport, and somehow I had heard about the 13-game minimum requirement for postseason play.
I guess I had my head buried in the sand.
It's okay.
I did not share it with you guys. I was keeping it as a secret.
Either that or producing a podcast, something like that.
I think everyone's just coming into basketball mode right now. Everyone's coming off of football season and turning their attention inside. So these non-conference games are going to be fun, though. It's going to be fun to see these two teams. I'm just glad this game is between ECU and UNCW is being played, honestly. It's a good regional rivalry. A lot of history there from when both teams were in the CAA. They've had some wars. I'm really glad this game is back on the schedule.
Same.
It's going to be interesting. Before we let you go, I want to ask you about, you had started a podcast back in the spring. Are you still doing the podcast?
Yeah, sort of. Yes, I'm still doing the podcast. We haven't had a new episode in a couple of weeks because fortunately things have been just so daggone busy. But yeah, the Fair Pull podcast still out there. I think I've put 33, 34 episodes together. I've had some really cool people. If you're into baseball, I've been really fortunate. One of the coolest ones, there's been a lot of cool ones. I don't want to single anybody out. But the coolest thing for me is just to talk baseball with people. And I had a chance to talk to the president of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Tim Meade. And we talked for 45 minutes for the podcast just about baseball and the Hall of Fame and how cool the Hall of Fame is and what the mission of the Hall of Fame is. And Tim has become a really good friend. We exchanged texts and emails all the time. So to have someone like that just randomly say, hey, yeah, I'll do your podcast, and then become a friend, that's been really cool. I've been fortunate to meet some really neat people in the business. I've got a fun episode coming up hopefully soon with Jason Stark from The Athletic, who was with ESPN for a long time. But guys like Sean McDonough, guys like Boog Shambi have been on the podcast. Not to name drop, but just really fun to talk baseball with people. So I appreciate you asking about that.
Chris, I really enjoyed. I think it was episode 2, but it was the first time you had a guest on when you had Will Little on, Major League Baseball umpire.
Yeah, Will was great. Told some really phenomenal stories. You know, it's funny. Will actually had the National League Championship Series, and I think was one of the youngest guys to have a plate assignment in what could have been an elimination game. I think he had game 1. Sorry, he had game 1 of the NLCS. So just cool to talk to Will and get his perspective on things as an umpire, because those guys take a lot of crap, but they do a really good job, and they don't miss that many calls. I mean, they get more right than they get wrong. So give those guys a ton of credit. But I appreciate you singling that out because Will is a great guy and a good friend.
Yeah, well, I'm going to sound like an idiot here, but who cares? Who did we have on for the Braves? That's from
Carey.
No.
Was it Francisco Cabrera?
Yes.
Yeah. Chris had him on as well.
Yeah, thanks to Bubba, I had Francisco on as well.
Hell of a nice guy. I was going to recommend him if you hadn't
great.
had him on. Yes. Yeah, really nice guy. Well, you already had him on, so forget the recommendation.
Yeah, I had to poach that one from you guys after I saw you guys had him on. I'm like, well, shoot, I need to have him on my podcast. So appreciate the assist, Bubba.
Absolutely. And like you said, Will Little, some of those stories that he shared, I'm trying to remember right offhand, but some of those stories he had were tremendous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all those guys have stories. The thing is just to get them to open up a little bit and tell you some of those stories. You know what I mean? Because some of them are so tightly to the vest and they don't want to divulge too much. Like had a couple guys on, like former players, like Billy Wagner had him on, and it took a while for Billy to open up and tell some stories. Todd Green was really cool. Played for the Yankees, played for the Diamondbacks. I actually caught President Bush's ceremonial first pitch in the 2001 World Series at Yankee Stadium. He told the story about how that happened. It was because Jorge Posada was warming up Roger Clemens in the bullpen, and Clemens took longer than usual to get ready for the game that night. So he missed the first pitch. And so there's Todd Green. He's like, oh, well, I'll just go out and do it. So there's Todd Green shaking the president's hand after 9/11 in Yankee Stadium.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, you don't get stories like that in many other sports. That's why baseball is just so cool.
It definitely is. Hopefully we can, speaking of baseball, not to get off, we'll have to have you back on to talk about it, maybe some other guys. But certainly with baseball, hopefully we have a season next year for MLB, but that's a whole nother show, as they say. And
we don't have time to go down that rabbit hole tonight, Dave.
And hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed. Right now we're worried about college baseball.
For sure.
Too soon. Well, Chris, where can people find your work? Thanks so much for the extended stay with us, man.
Yeah, I'll always love being with you guys. I appreciate you asking every time. We'll be on ESPN Plus tomorrow night. Jay Sonhalter and I have the big ECU tilt, ECU and UNCW 5 o'clock game. I was originally told 6, but now I'm told that it's a 5 o'clock tip off. So we'll be there tomorrow night in Minges. And then I'm always on Twitter at Chris__Edwards. The latest thing that just to leave you guys with this thought, you saw the Coastal Carolina BYU game for football, I'm sure. Do you know that the Chanticleer, it comes from Chaucer and Canterbury Tales, and Coastal Carolina was once a 2-year extension arm of the University of South Carolina. So the school wanted a mascot that was related to a chicken or a gamecock, and that's how they came up with the Chanticleers.
I thought they were the chandeliers. I didn't know that.
Oh my goodness!
Speaking of that, guys, I don't mean to keep you on, Chris, but Jamie Chadwell, he has got. I know he runs a unique offense and option-based offense to scare some Power 5 schools away. But if I'm Vanderbilt and I'm looking for a competitive advantage, I want to run a unique offense. If I'm Vanderbilt, I throw everything at Chadwell.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I'm just curious to see what Vanderbilt does. They have got they got a lot going on over in Nashville right now. It's some tough times. Obviously, great story with Sarah Fuller, the kicker, last week. But they've certainly got to change the thinking around football, I think, a little bit. But they've got it rolling, I think, in the other major sports. I mean, Jerry Stackhouse, the Eastern North Carolina guy, he's the head basketball coach at Vanderbilt. Obviously, Tim Corbin has got that thing just absolutely rolling like a well-oiled machine for baseball. But yeah, I've got some friends at Vanderbilt. Tough time too. The radio guy just resigned with some personal stuff going on. So thinking of all my friends in Nashville that I have. But yeah, I think if they want to do something like that, now is the perfect time to go ahead and pull the trigger. Strike while the iron's hot, and you never know what's going to happen.
It's going to be great we'll see how all that plays out. Chris, man, appreciate you so much for coming on.
Always, guys.
Here on Sunday night. And good luck with the call. Can't wait to watch you tomorrow.
I appreciate it, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
You too.
All right, see you later. Bye-bye. Chris Edwards here. Thanks for him coming on. Good job, Bubba, and appreciate him coming on here literally while we're doing the show. I realized that he was going to be on the call, so great job to you, Bubba. Kudos to you for getting him on last minute for sure.
I appreciate it, and he brought up that BYU Coastal Carolina game, and not to get off. What a game is right, and that it all came together in what probably. Who knows? It may have been in the works a little bit longer, but basically 48, 72 hours, at least in terms of the time those teams had to get ready for the matchup, which is, if you know anything about football preparation, essentially no time. So with the way Coastal Carolina shut down a BYU offense that had been averaging, 48 points a game,
yes.
held them to 17, it's certainly going to get that defensive coordinators. I think is it Skaggs? I think it's going to get him some recognition.
Yes, their defense has been good. Everybody's talked about Jamie Chadwell and that offense, and rightfully so, but their defense has been good all year. And, their defense was the reason they won that game last night against BYU. And I think he's headed somewhere for sure. If you're looking for a defensive coordinator, he's got to be at the top of your list. And I don't know, man. If Coastal managed to hang on to Chadwell and that defensive coordinator, I don't know how they did it. That would be amazing. But not wishing the downfall of Coastal. I'll admittedly say I'm jealous. They already made it to the College World Series, and if Cincinnati stumbles, guess who's going to be in the New Year's Six Bowl?
Yeah.
As long as they take care of business against Lafayette, it'll be Coastal. Can you imagine? Coastal won the College World Series and then went to a New Year's Six Bowl before East Carolina did either. It's a little disheartening. I'm jealous, but good for the Chanticleers. And hey, man, what we need to do is schedule and beat them. And baseball and football.
And I said Skaggs. I knew that didn't sound right. It's Chad Staggs. You
were thinking of Ricky Skaggs, Bluegrass
Ricky
Country.
Skaggs, yeah.
I'm sure that's why I said that. But a couple funny things with that matchup. I'm sure you guys saw the T-shirts, the mullets versus the Mormons.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny. One of them was spelled correctly, and then there was another one I saw on social media where they had misspelled Mormons, which I thought was funny also.
I saw somebody post on Twitter last night, not the first time a bunch of Cougars and went down to Myrtle Beach looking for a good time and bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah.
So I hats off to Coastal. Like I said, I'm jealous, but you know what? You know what's interesting? I believe they got to go on the road and play Troy before they play the conference championship game against Lafayette. After now, you got BYU. You're all riding on cloud nine, and now you're thinking about that conference championship game against number 25 Louisiana Lafayette, and you got Troy in between them, if I'm not mistaken. You guys want to double check me on that? Yeah. I'm not going to call the upset, but that's got upset written all over it.
Yeah, no doubt. We're looking ahead, especially where they've had such a magical season. That could be a trap game for sure, Kyle.
Yeah, if I'm them, I get COVID this week.
Wow.
I don't mess with that Troy game. I get
Okay,
And they
Dabo.
are
Okay,
and they are
Dabo.
13.5 point favorites in that matchup against Troy. That is 3:00 on Saturday.
Yeah, I do not like that matchup at all. On the road at Troy, in between BYU and the conference championship game.
And last year they beat them 36-35 in Conway.
Ooh boy, see that right there. That's just trap game. But speaking of COVID, Bubba, how are you feeling, or is this top secret and I need to shut up?
I have not received my test results yet, but like you're saying, I feel pretty certain that I'm going to receive the news that I am positive. Stacy received that news yesterday, so
it really doesn't even matter.
but yes, as a result of contact tracing, I am I'm on the shelf.
How do you feel?
I feel fine right now. I'm all the typical symptoms at one point or another, but as of right now, I'm fever free and feel fine. Other than the fact that I can't go anywhere.
You sound a little sinusy. How was your taste? How was your taste and smell?
Yeah, I had the congestion going on, but I mean, overall, I don't feel that bad. I just feel like I have a minor cold.
Can you taste and smell?
I've lost it some, but not completely.
Yeah, you'll probably eventually lose it completely, and then it'll start coming back slowly. That's what it did with me. I'm still not 100% back with smelling. Jessica had a wax burner today, burning some kind of Christmas cookie wax, and I couldn't smell it at all. Though when she made dinner, I could smell the garlic. So it's really kind of weird. How's Stacy?
She's doing fine as well. She did entirely lose her sense of smell and taste. So
okay.
But
you guys,
otherwise, she's been fine.
Take your vitamins. Take zinc. Take vitamin D, vitamin C, and take Tagamet, the heartburn medicine. It has antiviral properties. This helps with COVID. So take it and stay in the house.
Took all those this afternoon, and we'll continue to do so.
No doubt. Certainly, we'll pray for you guys. We're praying hard for Kyle. Kyle's on the mend, and now we pray for the Rosenbaums, and have a neighbor that's sick right now with COVID. So we'll pray for him, and just crazy times right now. Hopefully, we can get through all this mess with the vaccine here pretty soon. I know they're Duke Medical Center. They've actually are going to distribute theirs to the doctors and nurses here pretty soon. And I know with Biden, it's December 10th for the healthcare workers. So especially those on the front lines. So it's coming. And the elderly and those that are predispositioned as far as illnesses, those will be the first ones to get it in the public. So we'll see about that for sure. I know, Bubba, you had some more things we want to put up before we go.
Yeah, just
taking a look at next week's schedule.
Yeah, and just a reminder: tomorrow night's game with UNC Wilmington at 5:00 on ESPN Plus. With, of course, Chris Edwards and Jay Sunhalter on the call, and then I'm not sure who will be on the call Thursday when the Pirates play UNF, the University of North Florida. The Ospreys will be in Minges. They just played High Point, and they lost to High Point last night. And that will be a 5 p.m. tip-off as well.
Should be great. Pirates right now with no classes, so it's basketball only. They have been. They finish up before Thanksgiving with exams, so
Guys,
that's
if we
nice.
keep up with these 5 o'clock tips, I'm changing our. We are the early bird special pirates. Where we are like the damn early bird at the restaurant. We continue with these 5 o'clock tips. I'm going to call 2020 Pirate basketball the early bird special.
Hey, if that's what it takes to win ball games, we'll take the early bird specials here on out.
Hey, Kyle, if it makes you feel any better, it's not just us, because I mentioned High Point, how North Florida had played. They had played High Point. They defeated, or excuse me, North Florida fell to High Point 85-74. But High Point this coming Friday, they play at UNC Asheville, and UNC Asheville is having that game at 5 p.m. So,
all right, well, it must be the new hip thing in college basketball with no fans. Get the game on and get it over with.
Well, if you think about it, it's a 5 o'clock window, 7 o'clock window, 9 o'clock window. I get more games on. My guess is why they're doing that for ESPN Plus, but I haven't heard that piece of it. But that's what I heard is the game was moved to 5. The next couple games, so we'll see we'll see if that's the case. We'll double check on that, but that's what I had heard. Anyway, guys, before we leave, do you have any final thoughts?
Just go Pirates.
Yeah,
all right.
Interested to see this matchup tomorrow against UNC Wilmington. They got 3 guards, veteran guards that can really score, particularly Jayden Sims, averaging over 27 points a game. So we'll have to find an answer for him. It'll be interesting to see. Joe Dooley likes to play man. We don't play a ton of zone. So, Tristan Newton, nice sized guard at 6'5". It'll be interesting to see if he's the one defending Jayden Sims.
And tomorrow's my first day back at work in 3.5 weeks. So, good God, 5 o'clock tomorrow, I'll probably be dead. But hopefully I'll be able to stay awake long enough to watch the basketball game.
See if you can make some championship T-shirts for us for the Pirates. That would be fantastic.
I might be a little premature, but we'll see.
Hey, I'm going to be confident until we see it. So we'll see how things. By the way, do you guys have any quick predictions on scores? I know Brandon Shapiro, he's on YouTube. He asked us that. So do you have anything? I'll mention that, and then we'll get out of here.
Come on, Brandon. If you're gonna ask us for predictions, you have to give us yours.
That's right, Shapiro. And Shapiro, you need to get up here and join us sometime for little basketball talk. But I'll go East Carolina. I don't think Wilmington plays the strongest defense, so I'll go East Carolina 82, UNC Dub 70, 72. We're going to cover the spread. We're going to meet it by 10. Pirates 82, UNC Dub 72.
Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say I think we're going to we'll definitely cover. I think it's going to be 83-70 Pirates.
Let's see, 82-72, 83.
Like Bubba's going to close the game.
83-70. Oh, let's see. I was surprised while I'm stalling here. I was surprised yesterday that we covered I thought we'd win the ball game. I did not think the line closed at 10.5. So this one,
I know that you're thinking of the past. I know where you're going, Bubba. So I get you.
Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah. Let's see.
I got a score in my head. Let's see if Bubba says
it. Let's see. Surely, you can't go by comparing scores, but what Western Carolina beat them, and granted, it's the first game of the season, 98-76. I don't think we'll score that many. I'll say Pirates 85, UNC Wilmington 74.
Not what I expected. I was expecting.
Oh wow!
I had the 74 right. I predicted Bubba was going to call a close game and say 78-74. So I had half of the score right in my head. So Bubba, that's interesting that I thought you were going to say 74.
Yeah.
Let's see if Wilmington scores 74.
I was going back and forth with that which way to go. I could care less as long. I don't care if it's 45-44 like in the Jerry Wainwright days, or if it's 99-98 and the Pirates score one more point than the Seahawks, I'll be happy.
Me too.
That's all it takes. All right, guys.
Meanwhile, Joe Dooley, I'm not so sure, but that's fine. That's his job as a coach.
That's right. Well, hey, let's just get the victory. It'll be the fourth time in the modern era to go 4-0. We'll see if the Pirates can do it. Appreciate Chris Edwards. Appreciate Joe Dooley and Jayden Gardner as we did the recap of the overtime for Radford. We'll see how things turn out tomorrow on ESPN Plus at 5 p.m. Guys, thank you so much. And we'll get out of here. Good luck to the Pirates. Good night, everybody.